Hi there, you're listening to the Bigfoot Society podcast, and I'm Jeremiah Byron. Every week I talk to individuals who have experienced Sasquatch in some way or another, so you won't want to miss an episode. Make sure you're subscribed on the platform that you're listening to, and share this episode with a friend. It does not cost a thing, and it helps the show continue to grow. If you'd like to hear Bigfoot Society episodes early and ad-free, you can do so by becoming a Patreon supporter or a YouTube channel member. Links to those are in the show notes. In Bigfoot Society, I've taken far too much of your time so far, so let's get on with the show. All right, Bigfoot Society, we've got the privilege of talking to Wayne from Iowa today. He's got some very interesting stories that have happened, of things that have happened to him over the years. His son reached out to me and said, hey, you should talk to my father if you get a chance. So gave him a call. How's it going, Wayne?
It's going all right.
Perfect. And so your son Lance was saying that you were having a yard sale and you got to sharing a very interesting story about something that happened in the 1970s.
Yeah. Yeah. I saw what I thought must be a dinosaur because I'd never heard of such a thing still being alive. But anyway, I was, at the time I was living in the Quad Cities. I worked for a tool company, and I was from Des Moines, and so I used to travel back and forth from the Quad Cities to Des Moines frequently. And in about, I don't know exactly which year it was, but, judging by the kids' ages, it had to be around 1974, 75, right in that range. And on the way from the Quad Cities to Des Moines one time on Interstate 80, I was heading towards Des Moines, and I don't recall exactly where it was. It's about halfway back, I guess, something like that. And there was a freeway bridge going over the freeway, and I was about, probably, I don't know, half a mile from the bridge when I first saw something, and I thought, what in the heck is that? And it was huge, and it was black, and it started flying off the bridge, and I go, what the heck? I got close enough to it that I recognized what it had to be. I almost thought maybe it was something made up or something, but it was alive. It was something. It was a pterodactyl, and I know a pterodactyl if I saw one, I think, because I've always been kind of interested in dinosaurs and different types, and I've got several DVDs that pertain to dinosaur items, and so anyway, this huge bird-like creature came off of the bridge. It was sitting up on the top, and the closer I got, the better I could see it. And I go, this can't be. It's not, couldn't be real. It was real, and it took off, and it was huge. I don't know. It was at least probably 3/4 of the size of a small Cessna airplane, I'd say. And it was black, and it had webbed wings, and the feet hang down, and it had the beak on it, and it was a pterodactyl. I mean, I know it sounds kind of silly, but that's what it was. I know it had to be, because it flew away, and I got to see it pretty darn close, because I was going 75 miles an hour on the freeway, and as I got closer, I slowed down a little so I could pay more attention. But the thing was so huge, it just climbed off of the bridge, flew off of the bridge, and I said, God, I don't understand. It doesn't seem possible, but it's a pterodactyl, and that's what it was. I mean, it had to be, and it was a live animal flying, and it wasn't. It was somebody playing a joke or something. If there's nothing else around at all, and you're out in the country on a bridge overpass over the Interstate 80, and it was real. What it was or how it could be still alive, I don't know. But this thing was alive. It was huge. It was black, and it had to be a pterodactyl. I mean, and since then, after that, I looked at a couple pictures of pterodactyl to make sure I wasn't crazy, and I wasn't. It looked exactly like the picture, so I know that had to be what it was. I don't know where it ever came from, but that's about the only strange thing like that I've ever seen. But it certainly was amazing, and my wife was with me, and she saw it too.
Oh, really?
So, yeah. So, I had the wife and kids. The kids, I think, they were asleep in the back of the car, but but my wife saw it. I said, "Good God, look at that!" And she said, "Yeah, I've never seen anything like that." And I said, "That's a pterodactyl." I know it sounds stupid, but that's what it is. It has to be. So anyway, that's what I could tell you about it. That's about all I could tell you. I mean, never seen anything like that before in my life, and so.
Have you ever seen any pictures of like the Van Meter visitor or Mothman or any cryptids like that, Wayne?
Well, Lance showed me a couple pictures of my son. Lance showed me a couple pictures he had of those, but it didn't look like that. I don't know, the something man, whatever you said there. It had man-like features on the body and stuff, and this was a bird. I mean, it was well, like I said, it was a pterodactyl. So.
Gotcha. Did you notice any like interesting crests or horns on the head of the pterodactyl?
Oh boy, you asked me to remember something that happened years ago.
Right, almost 50 years ago. Yeah.
It had all the features at the time because, I never told a lot of people about it because I was a young businessman and I didn't want people to think I was crazy, so I never talked about it a lot. But it had a long beak on it, and the head of a pterodactyl, and it had webbed wings. The wings were webbed, and when they spread out, it was huge, and it took off, and it seemed to have very little or no trouble flying. It took off, and I got pretty close to it because I kind of slowed down and tried to stay in visual sight of it for as long as I could. But it took off from the top of the overhead bridge. It was on the railing. I think. I mean, I don't know. I'm sure that's where it was because it looked like that's where it was. So anyway, that's what I saw. And it was big and black and had legs. It had a long beak. It had webbed wings, and it was huge.
Wayne, that's absolutely fascinating. Thank you for sharing that. I know you've been holding on to that story for a really long time. Your son also said it would be interesting to ask you if you would be willing to share about the possessed guy with red glowing eyes.
I'm sorry. Share what now?
He said you have a story about a possessed guy with red glowing eyes.
Oh, yeah, that was a human being. Yeah, that was. He was. He lived down the street from me, and we were always kind of friends, but he was a pretty strange individual. I don't know, there was many things that were strange about him. He was very introverted and, just strange. And, one time we were standing out in the backyard. We lived on an area that was built into World War II. So these were fairly small houses, 2 and 3 bedroom houses that were small. And we were standing out in the backyard one time, and it was getting dark. And so, I don't know, we got talking about the Bible and about different things that were, strange happenings and stuff. And I noticed as I looked at him, his eyes started getting red, and they got real dark red. And I said, well, what are you doing, Mel? And he said, well, you wanted to talk about things that in the Bible and stuff. And he said, I guess that's what we're doing. And that's, I don't remember much of what he said, because I was kind of, shocked to see his eyes turn red, and they did. And, he talked about a couple things about the devil and about evil things, and I said, well, I've got to go, so I'll see you later. And I took off. So, but his eyes did turn red. There was no question about it. And so just something pretty strange. And he was a really weird individual. I mean, if you knew him, you go, I wonder why he acts like he does and does what he does. And he, I remember when he got drafted for Vietnam, and he took off and went to Canada, and he lived up in Canada the rest of his life. And I had very little contact with him after that, but his whole family was kind of strange. His dad especially, his dad was, I don't know, a little bit like him. And I don't know too much about what they did religiously, and stuff, but I just know that he got talking about stuff that I didn't really want to talk about. And his eyes got red and everything, and I just thought, I'm going to get out of here. So I didn't stay very long.
You probably made the right choice. If a guy's eyes start glowing red, it's probably time to check out. But
I don't know if he'd have tried to draft me into going along with him on stuff or not, but he was a strange duck. So I just wasn't interested in what he was selling. So
absolutely. It's interesting how certain people will have certain reactions to biblical topics versus things like that. But I think you made the right choice, Wayne. But I don't want to take all your time. I really am appreciative of you chatting with me for a few minutes. Thank you so much. I know my listeners will find it very interesting that there was a pterodactyl sighting in 1974 or 5 between Des Moines and the Quad Cities. So thanks so much, Wayne.
All right. Thank you.
Have a good one.
Bye-bye.
On weird stuff in Iowa, then you're going to love this other episode from way back in the day about more weird and creepy stuff in Iowa. Go ahead, give it a click. It's right up here.